Imagine generating over $12 million as a kid who's still in college. Sounds near impossible. In this video, I interview the young, genius marketer, Max Sertefant, to talk about how he's building a successful business while still being in college. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a student spotlight interview. I'm here with the boy, Money Max. What's going on, bro?
Appreciate that. Doing great. Another day, another dollar.
So kind of tell us a little bit about who you are and what you're currently working on outside of the college classes you're in.
I run an email marketing agency, full-time college student right now, go to University of San Diego. I'm actually studying abroad. I'm in Prague, and just every second of the day, either working or in class. I was kind of like freelancing, like copywriting, email stuff. Beginning of 2022, I thought I was running an agency. I would say like I run an agency like for the longest time. And then it wasn't until like Client Essential, I was like, dude, I've just been freelancing. I'm not an agency. So that's what it's been like the past like 6 months in CA, is actually transferring myself into an agency and building like the actual business.
Dude, you got to be loving life at this point. You have the successful agency, you're still in school so you can have fun, you're in Prague. What is life on a daily basis like for you right now?
Time zone difference is weird. I'm 6 hours ahead of US Eastern and 9 hours ahead of Pacific. So kind of like as far as work, I stay up till midnight to 1 in the morning every night, like working. But honestly, like I've been going out a lot. Like I live with 5 guys. It's pretty much like a dorm, and that's where I get a lot of stuff done. And then travel Prague, do all the fun stuff. Definitely live the college life. I'm really enjoying just trying to at least like balance a little bit. And a part of me wants to just work all day, but another part of me, like I still love partying and stuff too. I have the ability to do that every now and again, working for my computer, at least getting some checks coming in.
Yeah, it's the duality of man, bro. I mean, I would definitely recommend you take advantage of the
The
situation.
duality of man,
Yeah.
that's funny.
But bro, I mean, you're still crushing it in the business side of things, right? You live an ideal lifestyle for most of the people watching. That's the lifestyle we kind of want to lead. I want to hear a little bit about what was life like before joining Client Ascension. What was going on in the business side of things before CA?
So I was 100% just like the copywriter, like email marketer guy. I would like to consider myself an email marketer, but I was pretty much just doing copy for a bunch of different brands. Getting clients was always an issue as the freelancer. I tried to leverage myself as a freelancer, not an agency, because I didn't have like the agency systems and I didn't have a team. And so like on my landing page, it was just a big old thing that said I'm a freelancer, not an agency. Because like in the brands that I was targeting, I was only targeting like brands doing 50K a month or under, and all of them are like scared of agencies. So just like the market I was attacking, it made sense to just do that. And so that worked all right. It was always a struggle getting clients, so I relied on like Upwork. I was able to land a couple big clients and then do projects here and there. I was all over the place. I didn't really have like a clear sense of direction or where I was going. I was obsessed with marketing, like still am, copywriting, just getting as good as I can at like advertising and things like that. That's really like my average day. We can talk about like say first semester of sophomore year, which is last year. So I had like 3 clients. I would wake up at like 5 in the morning, go to the library, work for a few hours just doing like fulfillment copy from hours like 3 o'clock to then 9 p.m. At that point, that's when I like, now that fulfillment for the day is done, I'd focus on like getting clients, and I like was not getting any clients. I didn't really know what I was doing or what to be doing. I learned a lot in terms of like setting the foundations, and I think that's where like now get some of the specifics down, everything's like starting to compound.
I want to talk a little bit about what goes into making the decision to join something like Client Ascension, which is a 5-figure investment. Where did that level of conviction come from that this is what you needed?
I've been blessed. Just like I've always worked since I was like 14. I've always had a job. That's just like always been how I am. Always been very entrepreneurial, had many businesses. So the finances weren't really a problem. I'm not like a typical college student to where like I'm scraping like the bottom of the barrel for money. Also, because I go to school like pretty much for free, scholarships. It wasn't like I had to take out a loan from my parents, but biggest investment I'd ever made at the point. And it was definitely scary. I think a lot of it was limiting beliefs of beforehand being like, am I really ready for this? Is this something that I can take on? Can I really run a business like this? But after seeing everybody in Client Ascension from the outside having success, seeing all you guys just like constantly posting wins, everybody loves it. So it got to a point where it's like, you know what? I'm ready to take this next step. There's no way that I don't don't get at least 1% better by joining this, just having access to these types of people was 100% worth it. And what really like got me over the line was me getting over that limiting belief of, if all these people are doing it, then that means that, okay, I can take this next step.
I love that you shared that because it's so relatable. Like everyone in the audience that's watching this can 100% relate to like those limiting beliefs of like, am I truly ready or is this for me, right? That's what a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with. But I use the same motivation, funny enough. But like you see other people that are having success, and like the first question that comes to mind is like, why not me?
Yeah.
What about that person is so much different or better than what I'm doing? Like there's not much of a difference. It's just their access to either the right people or the right information, and then their ability or their willingness to take action on it. And you already had the work ethic coming into it, right? The work ethic wasn't the issue, is more so what should you be working on, or who should you be working with, or how should you be working? So
like seeing you guys and being like, okay, these are the guys. And so kind of having this, just when you've never met a person or talked to them, you're like, okay, they're different than me. But like once you start having conversations with people, and that's what helped like through the process of talking to people, you realize that people like you are just like me. It's just you've had some different experiences. And so that was one thing that really helped too, is just seeing that like you guys are regular dudes who are just like happen to love business. And so that's definitely like one of the main things.
That's kind of the vision too with Client Ascension, is not to instill like this status of like elitism. And this is probably what you recognize as well with the coaches. Like we're all on the same level. Obviously, like you said, coaches have the proper experience and the results and the success and the track record to teach on different subjects. But like as people, they're super relatable, and they're never going to like make you feel like you're less than. They're always going to lift you up to their level, which is, I think, why a lot of people love Client Ascension. That's part of it, is just the culture of the team and the coaches, right?
100%.
When you joined Client Ascension, it sounds like the biggest transition was going from like freelancer to building an actual business. What did that process or journey look like?
Pretty much I just needed everything because I had no real like systems in place. I had cold emails set up, but I was using like random leads that I'd acquire from Apollo that are like super mid. My scripts were terrible. So the first thing was just getting like a solid, consistent outreach system in. That's like the first things that get taught in Client Ascension. And then once calls started getting booked and I started like getting experience on sales calls, I started to get familiar with what it looks like to run a sales process. And so things just slowly interweave themselves. It wasn't like I spent 2 months building out every system in my agency, building out every single sales process and sales script. Like everything just slowly like loads on until eventually you have all the pieces and things just soar from there. So that was the first thing, getting the outreach systems like dialed. Super clear, just getting the 10 domains, getting them ripping. And then the leads, the 3,000 list kit leads was insane because my leads were so awful that I was using. So that was a huge eye opener. Every single one was quality. Those first like 3,000 leads, got a bunch of calls and like got a couple deals off that like initially. So what I mean by naturally rolling over was at that point, like I didn't really have systems or an onboarding process. Luckily, there's like a whole bunch of systems in Client Ascension, how to do an onboarding process. And you really don't know how to do it until you experience it firsthand, following like your guidance and like the videos, doing it in real time with a real client. A lot of people think that you need to have everything like set up beforehand. I thought you had to have everything set up like beforehand, and like being in Client Ascension, like it opens your eyes to that. And so like I was working out the onboarding process, and then now I have an onboarding process that I can repeat. And then, okay, now I have this new client. What does operations look like? What do hiring a team look like? And that naturally just came. And then you have the guidance, you have calls every single day to where you can ask these one-on-one questions, and like pieces slowly start getting put together. And like how I've improved on like sales, just insane. Looking at myself like 6 months ago, I just recently watched like a sales video and it's just all over the place. And now I have like a consistent sales process, and I like know how to overcome the common objections, like things like that get brought up. And just having the first-hand experience is just like super valued. So that's really what the switch was like. And it was just being able to have somebody there every step of the way telling me, and then implementing as I go has just been invaluable.
You're going through exactly like how we built Client Ascension, or at least how we intended people to go through it. You're not going to sit there for 2 months and like build all the systems and then go start things. It's like everyday process that you have to keep up with while also the business is running and growing. 6 months ago, your business and you as a salesperson or your lead gen system, whatever, it's unrecognizable, but that didn't switch overnight. It was the consistency every single day of implementing one thing at a time and all those slowly coming together. The lead gen weaves into the sales process, weaves weaves into like the operations and the onboarding and the fulfillment. And that's exactly the roadmap of like Client Ascension, is helping things in that order. I think a lot of the reason you're having so much success is because you knew the way to go through it, and you actually did go through it. You didn't skip around. Since joining Client Ascension, what have been some of the wins or milestones that you've achieved in your business?
I like to be as transparent as I can, but like I had pretty much like 2 long-term clients before I joined, and now just like worked with 10 since joining Client Ascension. That was a year on myself. I only managed to get like 2. Not all the clients like I work with now or have worked with are on recurring, but I started out coming in at around 5K a month. And then like where I am now, it's a lot more than that. I mean, if you look at the clients, like at least like a 4X in the amount of people just coming in. Because I joined in, I believe, April, and probably January to April, I got on 5, maybe 10 calls. And then now in Client Ascension, I'm booking 20 a month. That's been the biggest return, and that's been the biggest milestone, is just constantly having that lead flow coming in. I went from like couple sales calls a month to like 10xing that to like 20 pretty much.
Sales velocity, that's the lifeblood of your agencies. You're not going to be able to grow if you don't have new leads coming in the pipeline every day, which is so key.
Another milestone was just like before Client Ascension, I had no team, and now I have like consistently like multiple people on my team that are just like on payroll. And so that for me is like the coolest thing to see, getting to the point it can pretty much 100% operate without me if needed. I 100% would not be where I am today with like that team and these setups if it wasn't for Client Ascension. I'd probably still be writing random copy for 30K a month stores. And so that for me is the biggest.
Appreciate you sharing all of that. Seriously, it's so cool that again, like you have wins and milestones that you mentioned in the lead gen arena, in sales, fulfillment, operations, and team building is super fulfilling because you get to provide for others through what you've built. I mean, that'll only continue to grow and become more and more awesome, which I'm excited to watch unfold. One of my favorite questions to ask, especially with guys like you who are having so much success with the agency and just in Client Ascension, what would one piece of advice be for someone that is just starting out in the program and wants to do everything they possibly can to get the most value, get as close to a guarantee as possible of results?
It's really simple, but do what the coaches say. Just do it. Every single call, go to, and every single call, ask a question, even if you can't think of one, because you can just run things by guys that are 10 steps ahead of you. Also, then you get validation. That's one thing where a lot of my questions are. Is this like something that I'm doing right? Would you change anything with this process? That's probably my favorite question, and I recommend for anybody new coming in, ask that question every single call you're on. Just talk briefly, summarize your process, and see if there's room for improvement. Because these coaches, I've seen this many times before. Just leverage the community and the connections, the business opportunities within Client Ascension. Guys in Client Ascension want to work with other Client Ascension people. So set up partnerships, reach out to people. If anybody has a question, provide some value to them, and maybe a relationship starts to form. Because you see guys like Eamon, he's doing pretty much all of Client Ascension's YouTube because he's like the go-to guy there, and he applies a lot of value to the people in the community. So also leverage the community if you have a service that you can help somebody out with, for sure.
Those are both great pieces of advice. It's just like listen to what the coaches are saying. And I love like your methodology of show up to the coaching calls, kind of just share whatever you're working on or where you're at with things. And like, because the coaches are 10 steps ahead and have had the success and have been where you're at, you just sharing where you're at, they're going to know exactly like where to point you or what you need help with. Like you don't even have to have a question.
100%. You don't need to have a question. If nobody else has a question, just be like, can I just talk through what I'm doing? And then just like, yeah, awesome. Let me hear it. And then you'll get just little tidbits, little gems as you're walking through. They'll be like, oh, why don't you try this? And then boom, those will compound because you're going to multiple calls a day. It's the best thing that I've seen. That's where I've gotten the most value, for sure.
That's awesome, bro. The way I always try to compare it is to like Harvard, right? Like if you see a Harvard MBA on someone's resume, like you're more likely to hire that person, especially if you're also from Harvard. Take advantage of that for Client Ascension. Like if I'm in Client Ascension, I'm probably wanting to hire another person in Client Ascension because they invested in their getting coaching and training. So I know they're in the best hands, and like it doesn't have anything to do with me. Like if you're in Client Ascension, you're probably running a smooth operation, or at least have access to people to help you run a smooth operation. Yeah. And so it's awesome to see that you've not only joined the program, but have gone through it and really made the most of it. The last question is, where can our audience find you, follow you, and learn more about potentially working with you? I know in Client Ascension, it's probably best to just shoot you a DM, but anywhere else?
Shoot me a DM on Slack in Client Ascension. Also, just my Twitter is @MaxWellCopy. Lots of shit posts there. Thanks for everything in Client Ascension. Definitely be seeing you in there a lot.
Dude, keep crushing. I'm super proud of you, bro.
Hell yeah. Appreciate that.